Yes, we are live right here for the Good Fight. It happens every single Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. Whether I am live or not, we are still right here in this space, some kind of way, thanks to the wonders of technology. I don't know what we would do without technology. I'm not really sure. But sometimes it works for me and sometimes it doesn't. But I am grateful for it. And I'm grateful for you. Thank you so much for showing up to support the good fight as you continue to do week after week after week. And that warms my heart. All of the conversations that we have, all of the pushbacks and the challenges and the sign-ons, like the cosigns. I absolutely enjoy the dialogue. I was writing about the business the other day, and I was talking about the dynamic dialogue that can move us to action. Like that's what we're about right here. Oh, I sometimes forget to do this, but the good fight is made possible by. Let me come over here by Just Talk Consulting, where we are a firm that believes, like really authentically believes, that if we want to experience change, if we want to manifest transformation, if we want to really live in a way that says that we believe that collective liberation is possible in our lifetime, we got to start with the conversation. And so that's what Just Talk is about. It's just talking, but it's just talking about justice. And it's talking about justice in a way that is strategic and intentional and poignant and precise that can get us to really think about the interpersonal, the intrapersonal, the individual, the collective moves that we have to make in order for this world to be the place that we hope that it will one day be in our lifetime. And so Just Talk Consulting makes it possible for us to be here. If this is your first time being here, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. There are ways that you can engage in the good fight all the time, whether I am present in the as a live voice or not. You can, first of all, see yourself reflected. You can locate yourself in the stories that are shared in as we go through the session, the conversation. That is one thing that you can do so that you can begin to think about how you are living and breathing and moving among us. Are you complicit? Are you challenging? Are you dismantling? Are you upholding? Are you maintaining? Are you transforming? Like, what are you doing? And to give yourself the freedom to embrace your complexity, like the complexity of what it means to be human is that 5 minutes ago, I could have been complicit. And then 10 minutes later, I realized that I can be transformative, right? And so you can have more than one thing happening, stirring up in your soul. And that is okay. So first of all, see yourself reflected. Secondly, look through a window. Somebody else's story is shared in the space and you get to receive it. You get to just sit back and listen. You don't have any responsibility. No one's going to hold you accountable for remembering it or learning from it or anything like that. It is simply a gift that is offered to you in this space. And you can simply say, Ashe. Or you can say thank you for that. You can also walk through a door. So what happens after we have this conversation? What happens when I click in stream and the screen goes blank and I get up and go talk to T or whatever I'm going to do, in this case, go to bed? What happens then? Do you continue to think about the conversation? And if so, how does it feel? Like, how does it feel just kind of swirling around in your body? Like, do you continue to think about ways that you can further the conversation? How you can bring other people into the conversation? How you can decide that this is not the conversation for you? Like all of those things like that happen beyond this moment. That is another way that you can engage. And then finally, a way that you can engage is to comment. You can comment here in this space. You can comment on my phone. I always forget. not always forget, but I usually forget to put the number in the little description. But 228 is the area code, 228-236-7440, 228-236-7440. That is the number that you can use to hit me up directly. You can comment here, and I will be sure to comment back so that we can stay connected even after our time is up. So those are the ways that you can engage with a good fight. We are excited that you are here for it, and we want to move forward in our conversation that we are having about the conversation we're having. I'm sorry, just trying. I thought it was on do not disturb. The conversation we're having about the segregated family. So we started it last week, and I'm really trying to get to that brother. And I thought, really 2 weeks is enough for a series. I never could preach a series when I was a pulpit pastor. I used to I kind of thought I envied my colleagues who would kind of go off on these sabbaticals, or they'll go off on these weekends, and they would come back with like 3 and 4 months of sermon sketches, like ready to go. Like I could never do that. And one of the reasons I can't do that is because I want to be in the moment. I want to live the week and then see what is happening, listen to the people, and figure out where is God in this space, and not think that I already know. And so I think that, if it works for you, it works for you, but it doesn't seem to work for me. So I'm hoping that we'll tie this up tonight so that we won't have to extend it, because I'm trying to get to the older brother and how he is the one. Initially, I didn't think it would take us 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever, because initially I thought we're going to just get to the older brother. He's the one who segregates this family, and we're going to move on. But then when I started looking at the father and how he sets his children up, his 2 sons up, so that the segregation is made possible, like the opportunity to segregate presents itself because of the way the father's life is, and then how the younger brother realizes his role without really knowing this is his role. Like I just got so fascinated. I'm like, wait a minute, I can't get to the older brother, and I'm kind of feeling that now. Like I thought that that's where I was going, and then I started looking at this all over again, and I'm like, it's too much, but in a good way. I love it when the Bible as a book, I think of it as one of the greatest pieces of literature. The Bible as a book, how it inspires, how it motivates, how it changes, and how it seems new, like 51st days. Like every time I open it, I feel like this is a new day, and I don't even know what happened before. But I want to go ahead and read into the life of this session, the entire second half of the text, the pericope, the section of the text that has been extracted for consideration on tonight. That's the pericope. It's the part that we want to focus on, and and it is always by design. I want to make sure that I'm being completely transparent, completely vulnerable. It is by design that I've chosen this text to have this conversation. It is also by design that I choose to apply the lens of social justice to the text in order to give rise to the conversations that I'm interested in facilitating. And so you can use whatever lens you want to use. So somebody will say, that ain't what the Bible says. Actually, it is. And it's also true that it says whatever you say that it says, right? Like I'm not the expert. I'm not the only one who can interpret. I'm not the only one on whom the Spirit dwells. Like all of us can do that. But this is the lens I have chosen to use, the lens of social justice, because that's what this conversation is about, right? It's at that intersection of social justice and faith. How does my faith show up in the way that I vote, in the way that I talk, in how I spend my money, and how I earn my money, and who I step on to get to my money? Like where is God in all of that? And so this is the lens that we're going to be using as we read the second half of Luke chapter 15. So last week, I want to say it was like 15 through 21, 15 through 20. Luke chapter 15, 11 through 20. And so then we're going to pick up today with 21 through 31. And I'm going to, first of all, I just want to read it. I just want to read it into our hearing, the entire 21 through 31, those 10 or 11 verses. And then we're going to talk, and I'm just going to kind of go back and just pull different pieces and focus on them so that we can get to this older brother and how he segregates this family that we call holy, that we use as symbolic of of God's family. Like let's think about the segregation of God's family. Yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to read it. I'm going to post it so that you can read along. You can close your eyes and just listen to me read. You can do both, however you want to receive it. Then that is what we will do. I will pause for a few minutes afterwards, just so that we can kind of sit with it, the Selah, that moment where we just pause and calmly think about that, and then we'll go from there. Okay. Let me see if this works. Does this mess with y'all's eyes when I do this? I don't know if that messes with y'all's eyes. The son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. So they began to celebrate. Meanwhile, the older son was in the field. When he came near the house, he heard music and dancing. So he called one of the servants and asked him what was going on. Your brother has come, he replied, and your father has killed the fattened calf because he has him back safe and sound. The older brother became angry and refused to go in. So his father went out and pleaded with him. But he answered his father, Look, all these years I've been slaving for you and never disobeyed your orders. Yet you never gave me even a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours, who has squandered your property with prostitutes, comes home, you kill the fattened calf for him. My son, the father said, you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. So this text starts with the apology of the younger brother. So let me just kind of recap last week for just a moment so that no one will feel as if they're lost. But last week we talked about the audacity of the younger brother to go up to the father and say, I wish you were dead. That's basically what he's saying, because the way we've got this system of inheritance set up is that you can only receive it when the one who is the I am the inheritor, inherited, the one who gives, the one who has, the inheritor, and then I'm the inheritee. All these words. So the father who has the property, the resources to give, only when he dies are those resources supposed to be made available to his sons. And so in order for the son to say, I want mine now, it's as if he's saying, I wish you were dead, because if you were dead, I could live the way that I want to live. And so the father says, okay, I'm going to give both of you your inheritance now while I am alive. The younger brother goes off and he does all the living that he wants to live. I mean, he living loud, he living free, he living high on the hog until he loses everything and he has to come to his senses and realize that the best thing for him to do is to go on back home. But before he gets home, he rehearses his apology. He gets it together in his head. He want to make sure he's using the right words and that it sounds the right way, and that the father can feel that he means it. Don't matter whether he really means it, but I want to make my father feel like I mean it. I'm going to use words that make him say, yes, I'll receive you. And so when we start this text on tonight, this is when the son actually gets to the father, and this is no longer him rehearsing. This is him pleading his case to his daddy. But I want to talk for just a minute about this rehearsed apology. because I am applying the lens of social justice to this text. So I can see Jesus as justice. That's what I need to see. I need to see how, if it's possible for us to reclaim a Jesus that says, let me tell you what we not going to do in this world, not in my name, right? And so that Jesus, when we think about Jesus as justice, Jesus who calls us forth to be equitable, to be peaceful, to be inclusive, to be diverse, and to do it in a way that's honorable, in a way that is authentic, in a way that is vulnerable, in a way that is transparent. When Jesus as justice shows up like that, we can apply this lens and ask the question, where in our society right now in 2023, I don't want to leave this text back 4,000 years ago. It does me no good to leave the text back 4,000 years ago. What does the text say to me right now in the world in which I am living? If I see this younger brother who we have already established as the privileged among us, and when I see him rehearsing this apology, because now he has come to his senses, now life has forced him to realize that what he did was perhaps not the best. Not perhaps it wasn't, but in his mind, maybe this wasn't the best thing for me to do. How am I going to fix it? How am I going to find my way out of this situation? This rehearsed apology. When do we see it? Where do we see it? And we see it coming out of the mouths of white people who have made a racial faux pas. They've said something that they should not have said along racial lines, and they've been caught. It's not that they've said something that they shouldn't have said along racial lines, period. Because I am fully persuaded that white people among us all day, every day, I don't know, I can't tell you every one of them who it is, but I know it's happening in our midst that racially we are saying things in a racialized context. We are saying things that we should not say. But as long as nobody else hears it, we are like no harm, no foul. But when it is captured, when you are exposed, when it is brought to the public light, now you say, well, wait a minute. I got to apologize. Let me see. What am I going to say? And so when I was thinking about, I can't, like, I'm able to put some stuff up on the screen, and then other things I'm not able to put on the screen. So some stuff I'm just going to have to kind of read to you. I'm going to read a couple of apologies to you to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Not because I have to prove that what I'm saying is true, because I don't feel like I have to prove anything to anybody. What I'm doing is offering things up for your consideration, and you can consider it or not. And if you choose to consider it, you can agree or not. Like, you have so many choices. You are so free in this space. But when we think about this world in which we live in, where we continue to struggle with how to overcome the evil, the number one sin, like the sin of our country, the sin of our nation, the original sin of racism rooted in the system of enslavement. And when we begin to think about this apology, it's when white people in particular are caught with their hand in the cookie jar, having said something that they should not say. They've got to they realize that the best thing for them to do, not because it fosters relationship with the Black people, the Black collective that has been harmed, Black meaning every member of the African diaspora. That's not why I'm gonna say the apology. I'm saying the apology because it's gonna help me, because I've messed up, and my livelihood may now be in jeopardy. My reputation may now be in jeopardy. My family's social standing may now be in jeopardy. So I've got to apologize, because I got to make sure I don't mess up this privileged life that I'm living. So I don't mind that I've got to be public about it. I don't mind standing up in front of the camera. I don't mind anybody quoting me on this. I don't mind it being posted on social media, because it's going to make me look better than what I was looking a few minutes ago when I got caught. And so when we begin to think about white people in that situation who now have to offer this apology for their own sake, then we come to realize, when we listen to more than one of them, because it's so many that we have to listen to, right? We got to listen to you apologize about blackface, got to listen to you apologize about the N-word, got to listen to you apologize about uh like saying what is it like being like inhumane in your characterizations of us, like the Serena and Venus Williams, how people talked about they did not look human, they looked more like apes, like all of these kinds of things. So we keep having to hear these apologies, and what we have to really think about is like, is it a script that y'all follow? Like somewhere it's like when you have to, it's in a file folder on all y'all's computers, is in a file folder. When you have to apologize, here's the script. And so the script includes, like, whenever there's a script, right? It's like, here's a template. Like, here's a template with what you can say, but I'm going to give you enough choices so that you can manipulate the phrases and manipulate the statements so it sounds original. But once somebody really begins to pay attention, we see, y'all on the same page with this. Just like these laws that they pass, right? The ALEC, the council that puts up a template and they send it to the legislators, and the legislators are supposed to fill in their own state and their own name, and sometimes they they forget to do that. And so in this script of the rehearsed apology, there are these statements that are made that are supposed to evoke within people compassion, right? Empathy for you having found yourself in this situation. And so things like, I was misunderstood, or things like, I'm really not that person, or anybody who knows me knows that this is not how I am. I have Black friends, or I grew up in a Black neighborhood. We were the only family, in the only white family in this. I was the only white child and student in the school. Like all of these things, we say things like white people who are apologizing through this rehearsed apology that is offered on a collective level for white folks. Always want to make sure to include some form of I'm not racist. Like, I am not racist. Like, I don't know. That's not what this is. And you want to make sure that people think that you are ashamed, that people think that you feel remorse for what it is that you're saying. So some of those words you find, some of those statements you find in every one of the apologies that is offered publicly after a white person has been exposed for saying something derogatory, dehumanizing, racist about a Black person, or some racist behavior that they have exhibited. And so I wanted to put them up, but I don't know why I can't figure out how to do this. I promise y'all, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to do this. I can't figure out how. I've got it all typed out. I've got it bold. I've got bold prints for us, and I can't figure out how to put it on the screen. I want to read two apologies that were made publicly by white people who found themselves exposed. And I want you to see if you can hear what I'm saying. Like some variation of, I was misunderstood, or in the heat of the moment, or the pressure got to me, or that's really not who I am. And those of you who think, those of you who know me, you know this is not the way that I really live every day, or I'm not racist, or I have Black friends, like some kind of sentiment like that you'll find in these apologies. I want to read two. The first apology is from Amy Cooper. Amy Cooper was the white woman who was in Central Park, and she was walking her dog without a leash, and there was a Black man, Christian Cooper. They are not related. Christian Cooper, who was bird watching, and he asked her to leash her dog, which is what the rules said that were posted on the sign in the park. But instead of leashing her dog, she decides to call the cops. And he's filming this encounter, this interaction. And she says to him, I am going to call the cops, and I am going to tell them that an African-American man is threatening me. That's what she says she's going to do, because he asked her to leash her dog, which are the rules that are posted on a sign in the park, that she did not want to do for various reasons. I can only surmise that one of them is which you Black men don't get to tell me, white woman, what to do. And so she's exposed, right? So his Christian's sister posts it on Facebook, on social media. I don't remember which platform exactly, but on social media. And now here she is with this public apology. And I want you to listen for the script, right? Listen for the script. This is what she says. I sincerely and humbly apologize to everyone, especially to that man, his family. It was unacceptable, and I humbly and fully apologize to everyone who's seen that video, everyone that's been offended, everyone who thinks of me in a lower light, and I understand why they do. When I think about the police, I'm such a blessed person. I've come to realize, especially today, that I think of the police as a protection agency. And unfortunately, that has caused me to realize that there are so many people in this country that don't have that luxury. That's Amy Cooper's apology to that man, Christian Cooper. I also want to read this apology from Joe Rogan, who is a sports announcer, sports commentator, and he has a podcast. And on the podcast, he has been exposed for using the N word numerous times, like not like one time, not like three times, like numerous times he has used the N word. He is finally exposed for this. It goes viral. Now people are paying attention. I don't know if it goes viral, but enough people are paying attention to where he feels the need to apologize. So listen for that script that we talked about in this apology from Joe Rogan. I do hope this can be a teachable moment for anybody that doesn't realize how offensive that word can be coming out of a white person's mouth. My sincere and humble apologies. I wish there was more I could say. All of this is just me talking from the bottom of my heart. Hopefully, at least some of you will accept this and understand where I'm coming from. That's Joe Rogan. So when we think about this younger brother rehearsing his apology, and we parallel that with the society in which we live now, where white people have privileged folks, and in this case, it's white people are the dominant in this culture in the United States, when they have to apologize, like this rehearsed apology that they have to make, then we can see how this could lead to where we are going with a segregated family, because your privileged state of being allowed you to make these statements thinking that there would be no recourse, and your privileged status and your inability to think through the harm that's going to come out of your mouth when you say or from you demonstrated by your body when you behave in a certain way, your inability to see beyond your privilege when that happens sets us up for a segregated family, because the Black person, the member of the Black collective, and other people too, recognize it as soon as you begin to apologize, we know that you don't mean it. We know. It's just like, and we teach each other to do this, not just in a, let's apply the lens of education. Let's apply the lens of the classroom. Reflect on your time as a youngster when you are operating with, you're interacting with your classmates, and you're 5 or 6 or 7 years old, and you get into it with your little friend, and they they popped your bra strap, or they pulled your hair, or whatever they did, and they meant to do it, and the teacher says to the person who did it, like, who yanked your hair, apologize. Well, and the person is like, I'm sorry. And you're like, no, you're not. Even the children recognize it. And then we teach the other child who was not the abuser, you apologize to, like, y'all kiss and make up. Like, wait, what? Like, how is this working right now? And so we begin at a very young age, setting us up to be segregated within our human family, because you are pitting us apart by this idea that these fake apologies actually matter, instead of fostering the relationships that will lead you, that would keep you from having to apologize in the first place, and especially keeping you from insulting our intelligence and making us think that you mean it. Because in the case of Amy Cooper, sometimes I get so tickled, and I don't mean in a I'm about to, comedic way. I'm just like in a, oh my goodness, what are we thinking kind of way. So in the case of Amy Cooper, not only can I surmise that she did not believe her own apology, when later on, her own attorney says, listen to this. The attorney says, uh, others rushed to the wrong conclusion based on an inadequate investigation, and they may yet face legal consequence. So I'm apologizing to you, but I'm letting you know now I'm going to come sue you. Like, wait, what? How does this work? So, thinking about this younger brother in his privileged state, knowing that he has to rehearse this apology and get himself ready for his father because he has done wrong and he knows that he's done wrong, but he's got to figure out how to say it in such a way that his father overlooks it. That sets us up because the person who is harmed by his actions, which, whether we agree that he was harmed or not, the older brother thinks that he's harmed by his actions. Now, the older brother is like, this is nothing but fuel for me to say, I don't want to be a part of a family that does this. I want to be a part of something that is real. I want to be a part of something that is believable. I want to be a part of something that that is sustainable. And this kind of shenanigans isn't it. And so I wanted to talk about that since our text for today starts with that apology. But look, watch the move of the father after that. Watch the move of the father after the apology is made. As a matter of fact, if we keep it in context, this move that the father makes happens before the younger son can even finish the apology. The father actually interrupts him. You don't even have to do all of this. Let's just look at that one little piece of what the father says. Yeah. Okay. So here we are. But the father said to his servant, so the son is apologizing. The younger son is apologizing and he's trying to get all of this out. But the father says to his servants, bring out the best robe and put it on him. He says, quick. I think I missed it where he says, quick. No, I think, where is it? Father go from 20 to 21 to 22. Yeah, bring out the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and sandals on his feet, and bring the fatted calf here and kill it, and let us eat and be merry. For this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and he is found. And they began to be merry. And so the father does not allow the younger son to finish the apology. He skips all over that just so that he can embrace him, because you're in my family. You are mine. You belong to me. And so I'm not worried about all of that. You don't have to be held accountable. Let's just pretend it doesn't happen. Just pretend it didn't happen. Let's just brush it under the rug. Let's just keep it pushing. Let's just forget about it and move on. Today, I was with a client. We were talking about the importance of, oh, wait, there's a comment. I'm just seeing it. Bill Clinton apologized for signing 3 strikes out. He knew the consequences. Oh, wait, I didn't put it up. Everybody can see this. Bill Clinton apologized for signing 3 strikes out. He knew the consequences on people of color, POC, people of color. Yeah, and what's interesting in his apology, which is where we are right now in the conversation, the father does not require any accountability for the son. So Bill Clinton says, I apologize for signing into law this 3 strikes and you're out. Signing that in, which continues to build and to multiply the numbers on an astronomical level of people, particularly Black men, who are incarcerated. So the system of mass incarceration is fueled by this act of Bill Clinton. And he apologizes, but yet he does nothing to hold himself accountable by saying, wait a minute, but just like I signed it into law, we can make some provisions here. We can do some amendments, we can make some provisions, we can repeal it, we can do there are so many things that you can do to say, I am going to hold myself accountable for this and I'm going to apologize. But I know that the apology is just the apology is symbolic of the actions that I really need to do. The apology is my gateway into the action that I need to take as a result of this wrong that I've done. The apology apology is but the first step. And in many cases, when you don't even mean it, it's not even a significant step. But if you were to hold yourself accountable and say, let me fix it, let me change it, let me do something, instead of saying, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. So the Father, again, if we draw the parallels, sets us up, sets the younger son up into thinking that you can continue to make these wrong decisions that you are making through your own privileged lens, not considering the lived experiences of other people, because your privilege not only blinds you to it, but it makes you defensive. Like you defend against this idea that somebody else's lived experience is being altered by your existence, because you choose not to think about the salbona of life, the oneness, the connectedness that we have. And so here the father is not holding the son accountable. Just like Amy Cooper. Let's go back one more time. This is the last time we're going to deal with Amy Cooper, unless y'all bring her up. Amy Cooper is charged with filing a false police report because she called 911, told the police that the African American man was threatening her life. She lost her job, and that's when she decided that she needed to apologize. But the prosecutor said, again, this is like not comedically funny, but like, are you kidding me right now? Funny. The prosecutor, the one who is supposed to be holding her accountable for her actions, the prosecutor says, well, I'm sure he said Miss Cooper. She's completed therapy that included instructions about racial bias. She completed therapy that included instructions about racial bias. And the therapist called the sessions a moving experience. The prosecutor speaks up for Amy Cooper. The therapist speaks up for Amy Cooper. And then finally, the judge drops the charges. Now, if this is a family, if this is the salbona of our life, of our faith that says that we are connected by Him, we're not connected by Jesus, we're not connected by God, we're not connected by Buddha, we're not connected by Allah, because we can serve those gods if we choose to individually, and we can serve not to choose them individually. So what's connecting us is that which we do not have a choice about, which is humanity. We don't get to choose whether or not I'm human. You don't get to choose it. That doesn't mean you haven't tried to choose it, but you don't get to, right? And that's why the fight is on. That's why we're segregated now, because you try to choose. So that we're bound by this oneness. But in this family that you say we are one, I, as the Black person, Christian Cooper, I have been harmed. I have been traumatized. I have been humiliated. I have been lied on. I have been treated less than in this moment. And yet it is the prosecutor, the judge, and the therapist who all stand up for Amy Cooper and then dismiss her charges. There's no accountability. And you wonder why the family gets segregated. You wonder why Black folks say, well, I'm not sure I want to be a part of this family. And you wonder why some white people are like, well, look, I told y'all we ain't got to do that. We can keep rocking on like we want to because the system allows us to. There's no accountability. We set these things in motion, and then we wonder how we got here. So Amy Cooper, there were no charges. All of the charges were dismissed. And that's when her attorney, who also stands up for her. So now, first I said it was just the prosecutor, the judge, and the therapist. But it's the prosecutor, judge, therapist, and her attorney. And then he threatens to sue her. Now we got her on video, but he gonna threaten to sue us for having dared exposed her for who she showed herself to be in that moment. Yeah. And so that's what happens with this younger son. So the father says, no accountability, come in. We're gonna get the fattened calf. We about to have a party, y'all. Celebrate good times. Come on. I mean, we want to put a ring on his finger. We're going to put like this person who has made this awful decision, who has treated his own father like he was dead. Now we want to make sure that you've got the best of everything. And the older brother is out in the he out working where he always is, out in the field, diligently working, faithfully working, habitually working, religiously working on behalf of the Father because he believes that he is his Father's child. And even though he had the money, even though he received the inheritance too, he thought it best to do right by his daddy. I didn't ask for the money. I would never disrespect you like that. So thank you. I appreciate it, but I'm right here beside you. I'm following you. I'm doing the things that you've taught me to do. I want to be the good son. Well done, thy good and faithful servant. Those are the words that I long to hear. So I'm going to keep on working. I'm going to try to work my way into your favor. I'm going to try to work my way into that new phase of life when all that you have becomes mine. And I'm now the one with power and control. I'm just waiting until my day comes. All of my appointed days. I'm gonna wait until my change comes, says the older brother. He did not anticipate that the younger brother would come back. He did not anticipate that the father would be so excited about the younger brother coming back. He did not anticipate that the father would throw him a bona fide first class party. He did not anticipate that the father would treat the younger son in a way that he deems better than he's been treated when he was the one who has been faithful, who has been steadfast, who has been right there through it all. And so the brother's like, what's going on? What's happening? And so the servant said, your brother here. Look, let me tell you what. Look, your daddy said it out. We're gonna drink some top shelf. You better come on in here. You better come on in here, older brother. And the older brother's like, I'm not going in there. Going up in there. So clearly the servant goes in and tells the father, he said he's not coming. And the father like, what? The father goes out. The father who has been wronged by his son, who has been treated badly by his own son, overlooks what his son has done to his own body and says, no, I'm going to fight on his behalf anyhow. I know he's wrong, but I'm going to fight on his behalf anyway. And he says to the older brother, look, what's wrong with you? Come on in here, join this celebration. Your brother is here. He was gone and now he's back. He was lost and now he's found. You ought to be excited. And the older brother says to the daddy, look, we talk about the people in the Bible being black, but sometimes I be like, I'm not so sure because he done looked his dad up in the eyes and told him, I'm not going up in there. You ain't never done this for me. You ain't gave me no fatted calf. You haven't thrown me a party. You haven't done any of these things for me, but you're going to do it for him. The one who treated you like you were nothing, who said he wished you were dead. He went and spent all his money on prostitutes, and now you're going to throw him a party and not do anything for me? He is livid. Dad said, okay. And the older brother says, this son of yours. I want you to see it. We're gonna read it in just a minute. Let's see what Phyllis Brown is calling us to think about. And we Black people accept the apologies from white people who harm us, who cause us harm. And we Black people accept the apologies from white people who harm us, who cause us harm. And we do so because, remember, we're the good and faithful servants. We're the ones that's laboring out here in this field, waiting on our change to come, even though we see this injustice, even though we see that the Father is favoring. As a matter of fact, we have adopted these kinds of saying, favor ain't fair. Wait, what? What are you saying? Listen to what you are saying. You're speaking against your own life. So you're saying it's okay for us to serve a God that says, I'm going to favor this one over here, but I'm going to let you go on and not ever receive. Because as far as this text is concerned, the older brother never receives this gift from his father. Never. And the older brother is livid, and that's what causes him to say this. Let me pull this part up because I want you to see where the segregation that I've been waiting to get to. It's been a whole lot of segregation, but I was really wanting to focus on this right here. This is where we are, the segregation from the older brother. Let's read this. But he was angry. We're talking about the older son. He says, but he was angry and would not go in. Therefore, his father came out and pleaded with him. So he answered and said to his father, Lo, these many years I have been serving you. I never transgressed your commandment at any time. And yet you never gave me a young goat that I might make merry with my friends. But as soon as this son of yours came, who has devoured your livelihood with harlots, you killed the fatted cow for him. Verse 30 says, but as soon as this son of yours came. Y'all see that? Y'all see what the older brother has done? This son of yours. He didn't say as soon as my brother got back. He didn't say that. They daddy together. They came from the same loins. These brothers. But in this moment, when he experiences this injustice, the injustice is what causes him to experience this righteous indignation and says, wait a minute, this can't be the family of God. Because we use this story to symbolize the Father being God. How can this be the family of God when you are treating me like I'm not your own? When you are treating the one who abuses you like better than you treat me, the one who obeys you? How is it possible that I'm supposed to feel like I belong? How is it possible that I'm supposed to feel like I am loved? How is it possible that I'm going to, from this day forward, continue to devote myself to you? And why would you expect me to? And why would you ask me to? And why would you threaten me with hell if I don't? Because I choose to stand up for myself and declare even in your face, Father, that this is wrong, it is unjust, and I want to go on record letting you know. I'm not participating in these shenanigans. I'm standing up for myself. That's what I'm doing in this house with my Father. What if we allowed for that kind of faith? The faith of the Jesus as justice that says, I give you permission in the house of your Father. So, because many of us have been indoctrinated to believe that God is a man. So we call God him all the time. Father God, in the name of Jesus. God is, he always on time. He may not come when you want him, but he always on time. So that's why they use this story as symbolic, because this Father is supposed to be your God. What if we had a faith, even if you decided to use these pronouns that I do not advocate for, but even if you decided to, what would your faith look like if you knew that you had the freedom to say, even especially in this house where God dwells, I will not allow injustice to go forth without me standing up against it? What would our advocacy and our activism in the real world, not the church world, but in the world in which we all live and breathe and have our being, where people don't look like us, don't think like us, don't breathe like us, don't believe like us, don't vote like us? What would it look like if all of us said, it is because I am a faithful person? Faithful meaning I believe in some convictions, that my convictions compel me to say, I cannot participate. I cannot make merry at a time like this when injustice is just running wild in here. I cannot pretend like I don't see that you have harmed me. I cannot pretend that I'm so holy that it doesn't matter, because Christian Cooper, remember, we've been talking about Amy Cooper, the white woman, but Christian Cooper, they're not related. He's the black man that she harmed. In part of his story, in responding to her, he said he didn't think that she should have any, when she was like, people were coming for it. People were, we love to drag folks on social media. We love to sit behind that keyboard and talk all kind of junk. He said, I don't think she should lose her job. No, don't do that. Don't do that to her. No, don't. It's not even, don't do that. She don't deserve all that. The black man who was harmed. That's this conditioning that this father, remember, we are saying, we many of us have heard sermons preached about this story being symbolic of God as this father. The father in this story is the God that we serve. So it is this God who is trying to convince the older brother who has been harmed, who has been abused, trying to convince him, come on, join the party. Let it go. It's your brother. You know, it's okay. He's home. Nothing else matters. He's here with us. Don't worry about all the other stuff. Don't come on. You're being too sensitive. How many of us have heard that? So the very God that we serve says that your trauma does not matter because this one over here is the one I'm more concerned about. That's a harmful theology. And it gives rise to a segregated family. It gives rise to people saying to somebody that's in the same house with them, you ain't my brother, you belong to him. You your father's child. You ain't my brother, you ain't my sister, you ain't my gender non-conforming sibling. I ain't claiming you. I can't. Not with this mess. Hmm. Listen to this past weekend, Christian Cooper was in Little Rock for the literary festival. So I guess that's the Six Bridges Festival. I know, but I wasn't following the festival. Did he have any, did he say some stuff? Did he mention this? Did he have any, was he on a panel? I'm just fascinated. I'm gonna go look it up and I'm gonna see what happened. Yeah. And so I am advocating for, I'm agitating, irritating, aggravating for a faith that really does live into what is actually happening in the scripture, the way that we continue to interpret it in the church. That if it is true that this is God's family, what step do we need to take now to make sure that we recognize this harm, that we arrest this harm, that we capture this harm and say, whoa, 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 God, you can't do this. And you do, and you say, well, how am I tell God what to do? Because you are God. Because it's going to be the way you are with folks. You're not going to tell somebody else to get over it. You're not going to tell somebody else to let it go. You're not going to tell somebody else it's okay. You're not going to favor one person over another just because of their station in life. You're not going to favor somebody over another one just because they issued a half apology, a fake apology, a scripted apology. You're not going to allow it to happen in your context, whether it's at home, whether it's at school, whether it's at work, whether it's at church, whether it's in the park, whether it's in the grocery store, or whether it's in the restaurant. You show up in that space and say, no, 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 I have all that I need from the spirit that dwells within me to affect change in this moment. That's what I've been called to do in the spirit of oneness. That's the kind of faith that I could grab hold to. I was listening to Malcolm X today, and he was like, that's that old time religion right there. That's the kind of faith. We said, no, this is the faith of my ancestors. That says, no, no, no. Let's not get it twisted. I don't serve a God that says it's okay for you to harm me, and now I'm gonna hold hands with you talking about kumbaya. Not kumbaya. What's the song? We shall overcome. No, 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 no. I don't believe in that theology. I believe in a theology that holds us together, binds us together as humans, demands that we respect each other and see each other and honor each other and celebrate each other without having to force you to do it with a law. Not even the law of the Bible, but the spirit of the living God that dwells within you, those of us who say that that's what we believe. That's all I need to say, no, I can't act like this. I must support reparations, equity, justice, peace, Peace. Let me stop right there because I was going to say something like, no, 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 not going to say that. And so the last thing that I want to do is point to the very last part of the scripture. It's the very last two verses, 30 and 31. Verses 30 and 31. Here they are. So this is the father. After the son goes slap off, the father says, the text says, and he said to him, so this is the father saying to the older son, and he said to him, son, you are always with me, and all that I have is yours. It was right that we should make merry and be glad, for your brother was dead and is alive again, and was lost and is found. Can you just read it one more time? And the father said to the older son, son, you are always with me, and all that I have is yours. It was right that we should make merry and be glad, for your brother was dead and is alive again, and was lost and is found. And the question again is asked, what is the parallel to us in 2023? How do we take this scripture from back in the ancient old days and bring it right here to where it is relevant and meaningful and significant for the history of who we are that has brought us to this space? It reminds me of talking to poor white people in particular, especially during the era of lynching and Jim Crow, where we would say to the white person, you white, so everything that belongs to white people is yours. It doesn't matter that you don't have the money that you need to take care of your family. It doesn't matter that you don't have the adequate shelter or transportation. It doesn't matter that you lack so many things. You are part of this system of whiteness, and that ought to be enough for you. You ought to be glad about that. You ought to be glad that that whiteness that you belong, that family of whiteness that you belong to, allow you to say, but I'm better than you. I got the fatted, at least I'm in the family with the fatted calf. I've never gotten one, but at least I belong to the family where somebody gets it. And we have this kind of theology, this kind of understanding, this kind of socialization, this kind of conditioning and program that makes us say, I am okay with what I lack as long as I can think that I'm favored. And then we consistently do that same thing to Black folks. Does not matter that you're not free. You got a God that owns everything. It doesn't matter that you can't get anybody to pay attention to your body when you go to the doctor if you are privileged enough to have health insurance. It doesn't matter, because just call on the name of the Lord and trust that you're in the family and everything else will be all right. Be glad about it. Wake up in the morning. Woke up this morning with it don't matter. Don't worry about all that. Let all of that go. Just be glad to be in the number. I'm glad to be in the service. And that kind of theology, when we ask the question, how does it show up for us when we interact human to human? It shows up as failure. That's what it shows up as. It shows up as segregated family. So the family of white folks, the family of Black folks, the family of brown folks, the family we are all segregated in our own different populations because we all going through all of this stuff in the name of whiteness. But it's okay. We don't call it whiteness. We call it God. And therefore we give it a pass because we talking about Jesus now. Who should question God? So I offer this story up to you, reminding you once again that it has been named incorrectly. Prodigal means extravagantly generous. And so those of us who believe that there really is a God that exists beyond the confines of religion, anybody's religion, I'm talking about anybody's, Christianity, Confucianism, Taoism, Buddhism, a God that exists beyond all of that. They said to us, the moment that you wrote a book, whether it was the Torah, whether it was the Bible, whether it was the Quran, whether it was the Book of Mormon and latter, the moment that you wrote it, you reduced me to something that I am not. Because you thought that you could contain me. You thought you could explain me. You thought you could understand me. And I'm too high and lifted up for that. So I'm talking about that God if we would give ourselves over to that God would empower us to say, in the name of God, I demand that we live differently. I demand that we love differently. I demand that we stop favoring folks and telling other folks it's okay, and lying to them and deceiving them and giving fake and being fake, wearing masks. Mm-mm. We're going to be real. We're going to be holy. We're going to be just. We're going to be sacred. We're going to be consecrated. We're going to be sanctified. We're going to be all of those things. We're going to be set apart because we're set apart. We're away from this ideology of race, of class, of gender. We don't exist in that. I see you as human, and I recognize you as family. And I'm going to treat you as such because that God it's a requirement for that. Yeah. So that's all I got for us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us for The Good Fight. Be right back here on next Tuesday. Looking forward to seeing you.